Hey, everybody. Welcome to 2026. I hope all of you have a great year. And I hope it's better than your 2025, even if your 2025 was good. I want it to be better for you. Um, as some of you may know, I keep statistics of like the media I consume and a little bit of the stuff I create throughout the year. It's the same reason, like, people get satisfaction when they like cross stuff off a list. When I watch a movie and I add it to my list of movies I watched that year, it makes watching the movie feel like I accomplished something instead of I wasted time. So I do that. And basically I collect statistics throughout the year and I make little notes. Oh, I saw this one with a friend. I saw this one in theaters and blah blah blah. So I want to share those with you. Just I've got them. I might as well share them. But I realize because the last time or two I've done this, uh, just me reading a bunch of numbers is probably a little dry. So I'm also going to include recommendations, things that stood out to me. Now, these aren't necessarily the best things that I encountered this year, nor are most of them actually like from this year or 2025. Last year is just I was exposed to them in some cases again, in some cases for the first time. So these recommendations are not, hey, this came out in 2025, did you miss it? But it's, hey, I encountered this in 2025 and I really enjoyed it, so maybe you should check it out. Make sense? It will as we go on. It's fine. Books. We're going to start with books. I read 70 books this year, or last year. It's the first. It's going to take me time. Now, most of those were physical books, but I also listened to audiobooks, and 24 of those 70 were audiobooks. Among the audiobooks I'm doing like all of Stephen King because that's the kind of thing I do is find an absurd thing and do all of it. I also did 18 graphic novels or comic books. So I know people are like, audiobooks don't count, comic books don't count. Okay, but I still did 70 total. I'm still always reading a physical book at night, every night. I just also do graphic novels and audiobooks. So 70 books, 18 of them were graphic novels, 24 of them were audiobooks. Ones that stood out to me that I think people would enjoy. For graphic novels, I read Jeff Johns' Green Lantern run. You can buy it in 3 omnibus editions. It's a lot. It's each omnibus is about that thick, and there's 3 of them. But it's really good. I haven't really read Green Lantern before, but I'm aware of it, and I liked the idea of the spectrum of emotion, where there's Green Lanterns and Red Lanterns and the Yellow Lanterns and the Orange Lantern. Uh, each representing different emotions, and so this is where that came from. Was Jeff Johns, and I will say it kind of it's a full story. Like he wraps up his story when he stops, which is not something I expect from superhero comics. I don't read a lot of superhero comics, but it was very good. I enjoyed it. I do recommend it. Uh, 2 physical books I recommend that I think actually may have come out in 2025, but it doesn't matter if they did or not. Charlotte Isles is Not a Teacher. This is the second Charlotte Isles book. The first one is Charlotte Isles is Not a Detective. Charlotte Isles was a tween detective. Think Nancy Drew, Encyclopedia Brown, these sorts of things. Then she grew up and she tries to distance herself from her child detective past and just find a regular life. But darn it if she doesn't keep getting pulled back into the detective life. So this is the second Charlotte Isles book, and she takes a job as a substitute teacher to investigate another crime. They are decent mysteries, but they're also funny because you're watching an adult who hasn't done the detective thing since they were a kid and having to realize things like, ooh, climbing around an air vent's not as easy as an adult and stuff like that. So it is funny, and it also is very millennial in like the search for an identity and a purpose, which I think is indicative of my generation. I recommend both of the books. They're very fun. Uh, the other book that really stood out to me was a Brandon Sanderson book. If you know Brandon Sanderson, then you really don't need my recommendation. But Isles of Emberdark, which I just found to be a very fun time, especially as a Sanderson fan, because it gave us a glimpse of the future of the Cosmere. For those who don't know, Brandon Sanderson is a very prolific author. He puts all of us other authors to shame, just pumping out tons and tons of books. And a good majority of his books are set in the same universe, but they don't cross over a ton for the most part. There are, cameos and references, but generally, most of it is self contained in, like, okay, these are the stories of this planet, those are the stories of this planet. Oh, somebody crossed over. Isles of Emberdark is a standalone story that is set kind of in the future of the Cosmere, and we see a lot more interaction. We see, oh, this is what it's like when the technology from that world and the technology from that world are combined together. So it's cool in that respect, and it's also a fun story about change and, again, life's purpose. Um, it's very good. The main character is a hunter who's used to being solitary, but his way of life has kind of been put aside due to the advance of technology. But then a specific situation comes up where his skill set is useful again, and so it's that journey. It's very good. And then for audiobooks, I'm sure you've heard it from other people. I started the Dungeon Crawler Carl series. I'm only 4 books in. A lot of people talk about how great this series is, and I'm one of those people who, when somebody like loves something a lot that I haven't heard of, my instinctual reaction is, well, there's no way it's that good. Like, I'm going to read this and I'm going to be disappointed, and it's going to lower my opinion of you. And so I am always hesitant to jump into things that people rave about. I don't. Maybe I need therapy. Um, Dungeon Crawler Carl is very good. It is page turning. It mixes really cool action with decent comedy. Um, the the world is set up in a way that's very easy to understand. It's essentially reading a video game, kind of. It's very good. The premise of Dungeon Crawler Carl. Oh God, how can I do this quickly? Um, an alien race has conquered Earth, and the only hope for some of the survivors is to participate in a galaxy-wide reality TV show called Dungeon World, where like billions of humans go through this dungeon, and it's the technology is so advanced it's basically magic. So it creates NPCs, and you have to kill mobs, and you level up, and you gain skills, and you pick classes, and you change your race, and you go floor by floor through this dungeon. And it's very good. It's very clever. The prose is somewhat simple, and I don't mean that in a bad way. It aids it in being a page turner. Having said that, I do it as an audiobook, and most people who like this series will tell you to do the audiobook. Jeff Hayes, who does the reading, gives every character a very distinct voice. He's extremely good at his job. It's a lot of fun. Carl does kind of sound like the Wish.com version of Patrick Warburton, but it works. I like it a lot. So those were books. Video games. 35 games that I played this year. Now, for video games and books, I count them if I spend a number of hours with them, not necessarily if I finish them. So I played 35 games. I only beat 22 of them. 12 of those were for my podcast, Home on the RNG, available where the podcasts are, where we review JRPG video games. You should check it out. 2 recommendations. The one for Home on the RNG is a game I have played before, but is one of my top favorite games. I'm playing it right now. Persona 4 Golden. I will always love Persona 4 Golden. Playing it is like sitting in a nice warm bath. I love it, and I'm getting to play it right now for a review. Super fun. The other game that I played on my own was Dispatch, which turned out to be a great time. It took me like 8 hours to get through the game. It's from some of the staff from Telltale, so it is one of those you make a choice and such will remember that. Um, the writing is really good. The characters are really good. It's divided into like 6 episodes. Each episode is like an hour to an hour and a half. It's very good. But in addition to that gameplay, which is mostly, picking dialogue choices, there are a few quick time events, and there's also the plot of the game is you are an Iron Man like superhero whose suit gets very damaged, and an organization offers to help repair your suit if you'll come work for them as a dispatcher. So your job is you're assigned the Z team, a team of former villains turned superheroes, and you assign them to go on call. So like a call comes in, my cat's stuck in a tree, and you have to pick which hero is most suited to go and do that. Each chapter has 1 to 2 dispatch sessions where it's a completely different style of gameplay. It's very fast paced. You have to make a lot of snap decisions. It's also very, very fun. I would play that as a standalone game. And again, at 8 hours, go for it. Do it, man. It's almost a waste of your time not to experience this game. So that was video games, short and simple. Movies. Movies and TV shows. Okay, well, we'll just talk about movies. Movies only count, they only go on the list if I finish them. But I very rarely start a movie and don't finish it. I can't think of a time that happened this year. But like over Christmas, right? Christmas Vacation was on TV a lot, and I watched probably 3/4 of it in bits and pieces walking through a room. I don't count that. I need to watch the movie from beginning to end for it to count. So I watched 205 movies. In December, I watched 33. And the only reason I watched so many in December is I got bad sick. And I basically spent a week just watching movies every day because I was sick and I couldn't do much else. 76 of the movies I watched this year were for my Criterion Collection reviews because I am working through the Criterion Collection. 18 of the movies that I watched this year were in theaters. So that's, a little more than one a month in the theaters. That's not bad. Only 18 of the 205 movies I watched this year were rewatches, were movies I had seen before. Cool. Recommendations. I have several, so I'm going to try and keep these a lot shorter than I did the books. Superman 2025. I'm a James Gunn fanboy, all right, so I'm biased. But Superman made me very happy. It made me experience hope in a time where sometimes that can be in short supply. It was uplifting, and it made it seem cool to be kind. I loved Superman 2025 a lot. I don't want arguments from Snyder Bros. Like, it's art. It's subjective. Everybody gets to have their own opinion. If you loved Man of Steel and because of that you refuse to watch this one, fine. It's your life. I loved this film. It is the best Superman movie I've seen. I'm not the biggest Superman fan, but this one made me want to actually track down and read some Superman comics. It also made me buy a Mr. Terrific series, a character I was barely aware existed, but he was so good in the movie. Another movie that really stood out to me, and I actually watched twice this year, which is rare. Superman and the next movie I watched twice this year, which I almost never do. Roof Man, which is the true story of a man who would break into McDonald's through the roof and rob the stores. Eventually he got caught, escaped from prison, and had to secretly live in a Toys R Us for like a couple months. It's Channing Tatum as the main character. The movie is very charming. It's just excessively charming and fun to watch. It's a good story. And if you have people in your life, like my mother, who almost exclusively want to watch true stories, this is one. And that's why I watched it a second time. I saw it in theaters with a friend. I was like, oh my God, my mom would actually really love this. So months later, I showed it to my mom, who doesn't get to watch a lot of movies. From the Criterion Collection, the two there's two that really stood out to me. One that I had never heard of before, High and Low. This is a Japanese film, mostly black and white. There is one single use of color, which stands out. High and Low I had never heard of, but I really enjoyed it. The first half of the movie, it's an executive who his son gets kidnapped, and the ransom demand is enough that it would ruin his life to get his son back. Then it turns out it wasn't his son that was kidnapped, it was his chauffeur's son. The kidnapper screwed up. And so the first half of the movie is a moral dilemma drama about, do I destroy my life to save my chauffeur's kid? Which is really well done, high stakes, good acting. The second half of the movie is a police procedural of finding the kidnapper. It's kind of two movies in one. And they're both very good and very interesting. And that shift at like the midway point keeps it fresh and interesting. I like it a lot. I also rewatched Brazil this year for the Criterion Collection, and I love Brazil so much. It's a Terry Gilliam film. I love Terry Gilliam films without exception. It's probably my favorite Terry Gilliam film. It might be a toss-up with The Adventures of Baron Munchausen. But it is in a dystopian future, one cog in the bureaucracy machine dreams of a better life and tries to get it. It's satirical, it's farcical, it's dystopian, it's very good. Also, Bob Hoskins is in it, and I love Bob Hoskins. That's Eddie from Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Yes, Brazil is great. And then the last recommendation, Jerry and Marge Go Large. This was a recommendation from my uncle to my mother. And generally, I don't have high hopes for things that come down that stream. But this is the true story of a man played by Bryan Cranston in this, who discovers a flaw in the state lottery system whereby you can essentially guarantee success by purchasing a certain amount. And so he and his wife sort of build up a lottery syndicate with their friends. It's an interesting story. It's a little bit charming. It's a true story. It's an unexpected good time. I never would have checked this movie out on my own. I'm not saying it's great cinema, but it was a good time. I liked it. Maybe check it out. Okay. Our next to last category, and our last category is going to go real fast. TV shows. Now, for TV shows, I only count it if I finish out a season. So I count seasons of TV shows. If I only watch like 2 episodes of a show and then go, not for me, doesn't make it on the list. This is bonkers. 139 seasons of TV. That said, you know, a British season is 6 episodes. An American season can be 10, 12, 22, 24, depending on what you're watching. So, like, a season can mean a lot of things. But 139 seasons of television. 43 of which are current shows. What I mean when I say current shows is that season, the last season, and only the last season can be current, aired within a year of me watching it. Right? So 43 current shows. 19 of these shows I watched with somebody else. To be fair, mostly my mother. We have a habit where on Friday nights we watch TV together. Recommendations from this. I have been watching a lot of Dimension 20 this year. If you don't know, first of all, Dropout.tv is the best streaming service out there. It is worth your money. It is pretty cheap, and you get a ton of content. It is mostly improv comedy content, but it's divided up into, you know, kind of game shows and other sorts of things. Dimension 20 is their live play. They're mostly playing D&D or other tabletop role-playing games. Mostly it's led by Brennan Lee Mulligan. Each season of Dimension 20 is a new story, a new setting, and new characters, even if it's the same people playing. Sometimes they go back for like a season 2, they revisit a setting and revisit characters, but Most of it is original, new, fresh each time. Of particular note, I just finished Mintopolis, which I thought was hilarious. It's a group of people playing components of a person's mind. Attention is a character, conscience is a character, impulse is a character, and it's done in a noir style. The streets are always rainy. It was very good. I enjoyed it a lot. I am watching an older show called Suburgatory, which I am deeply enjoying. The premise of it is Jane Levy is the teenage daughter of Jeremy Sisto. He's a single dad living in New York. He goes into his daughter's room one day and finds a box of unopened condoms, freaks out about his teenage daughter having sex, and decides to move to the suburb. And neither one of these New York City dwellers is ready for the lifestyle of the super elite, high-end, high-class suburb that they move into. So it's a fish out of water story. It's funny. It's also silly and absurd. It's a good time, and it sounds like a show that only lasted for a season. This one got 3 seasons. Oh, and Alan Tudyk is a recurring character. He's Jeremy Sisto's best friend, and who doesn't love Alan Tudyk? And lastly, a current show that I enjoyed, Pluribus. I know online a lot of people talk about how slow it is, and there are episodes where nothing happens, but I love this show. It's such a think piece, because I have spent an unhealthy amount of time thinking about what I would do if I was in the situation. The basic premise of Pluribus is an alien virus infects mankind and creates a hive mind. So all of humanity now shares thoughts and memories and knowledge, except for like 11 people who just had a natural immunity to the virus. And so now the hive mind is caring for these 11 people because they love these 11 people and they want them to be happy and cared for. And our main character is a person who I don't know has ever experienced happiness. She is a bitter, cynical, disconnected person who just basically lost everything because everybody is now gone except for her and 10 other people, because the rest of the world is this hive mind. So it's moments of like, she turns on the TV and the president is addressing her directly by name. And anytime she asks anybody a question, everybody knows everything. It's a very interesting premise. It is a slow show. There are episodes where not a lot happens in the story, but I find the setting so interesting that even being drip fed little bits of information, I love this show. It's great. I hope that it's not one of those cases where it's like 5 seasons in 10 years, because that's ridiculous. Podcasts. This is not podcasts I listen to. I do listen to some podcasts. For some reason, I don't track those. Instead, I track the podcast episodes that I make. Because again, Home on the RNG. Home on the RNG it alternates. So the first Monday of each month is the review of a specific JRPG video game. Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest, these sorts of games. And then the third Monday of each month is a side quest where we talk about a video game related topic. It could be a review of a non-JRPG game. It could be a review of a genre, of a series. Maybe we're just talking about ROM hacks. Maybe we're just talking about, hey, what's your favorite games with a group of friends? Of particular note, this that we recorded in 2025 that you should hear in 2026, our Final Fantasy VII review with guest reviewer Graham Stark from Loading Ready Run and Desert Bus. He called in and was a part of the review, which was a big deal for me as I'm a fan of those things. And then our Persona 3 review, I think, was particularly good. My friend Rachel joined in, and when you combine my friend Rachel with my co-host Russ, I spent a lot of time in the editing booth on that one, having to edit stuff out. They are chaos goblins. It is, but I think it's a really good time. So look for those in 2026, Home on the RNG. And then lastly, we're almost done, I swear, just some some of the notable events, because I also just keep track of noteworthy things that happen to me. Like, I built a new computer for the very first time. I built myself a new computer. I finished all 200 episodes of the Magnus Archive, which is a horror podcast. I'd call it more of a macabre podcast. Each episode is kind of a little vignette of a spooky story that happened, and then they all kind of start to tie together into a larger universe. And that's the thing I'm a fan of. Whenever small standalone things build into something bigger, I like that. I had 2 RCPD procedures. I can't burp physically. I am incapable of burping, have been my whole life, which doesn't sound terrible, but you realize I still generate gas in my stomach, and that gas has to go somewhere, and it takes a lot longer for it to come out the back end than it would if I could just burp. So there's a lot of pressure buildup and a lot of uncomfortableness, and it's getting worse as I get older. I will likely have to have a third procedure, and probably this third time around, instead of doing a simple, the procedure is a Botox injection to a valve right about here. There's a valve about here that's supposed to allow two-way traffic, food and air down, and then air can come up. My valve only allows one-way traffic. Nothing can come up. I can vomit under extreme circumstances, but I have a iron stomach, and part of that might be because this valve doesn't really like to go this way. The treatment is you get a Botox injection, which paralyzes it, and then when it relaxes, it's supposed to work normally. Sometimes it takes a second treatment. I've had 2 treatments. I don't think the second one is working, but I need another week or 2 to be 100% certain. The doctor's now talking about cutting that. I will do a separate video on that because I did one to start it. Anyway, every year I try to do one scuba diving trip, but this year, to save money, I instead volunteered for the Lake Travis cleanup, which is scuba diving and cleaning up trash from the bottom of Lake Travis. That was fun. I visited Las Vegas for the first time. It was for a work conference, but I also got to, experience Vegas and the restaurants and see a live taping of American Ninja Warrior and visit my first Meow Wolf, Meow Wolf was incredible. And I have plans to visit the 4 remaining Meow Wolves this year in 2026. So maybe you'll hear more about that. Meow Wolf is interactive art installations that are extremely surreal and weird. And they have a hidden story behind them. So part museum, part escape room, kind of, except there's no history and you can leave anytime you want. It's really a thing you need to experience for yourself. Google it, see if you can find one in your area. I could talk about it for a long time, and I'm not going to. Live shows, I saw Welcome to Night Vale live, and I saw Lucy Darling live. Welcome to Night Vale is an excellent kind of comedy, semi-horror podcast. Lucy Darling is a comedian and magician. She's extremely charming. It was a very good time. I paid off my student loans this year, 2 years early. Basically, I am now saving a car payment's worth of money every month, which is nice. My uncle, who lived in my house with me, passed away Thanksgiving Day. That was a notable event. Notable events don't always have to be happy. And then the last one on the list, I attended a 50th anniversary screening of the Rocky Horror Picture Show hosted by Little Nell, who played Columbia. I was on a Rocky Horror Picture Show cast in college, so it was fun for me. So that's it. That was the stuff that I'm willing to share or that is worth talking about from 2025. I hope all of you had a good 2025, and I hope all of you have a great 2026. If you watch my channel, if you watch anything on my channel, thank you. I appreciate you. I would be making stuff even if nobody watched it. It's just a compulsion of mine. But when people watch and leave comments and everything, it means the world to me. So thank you, all of you. I hope you have a great year. I hope this wasn't as dry as maybe it feels like to me. I hope you enjoyed some recommendations. Have a good year. You deserve it. Thank you all.